Live from Citizen TV, this is Tonight with Sam Gituku.
Good evening. Thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 27th day of March 2025. And tonight on Data Point, we're reflecting on the journey that the country has walked over the past 2 years. We're talking about the Forex reserve for the country, the highest in a couple of months and years, to now stand at $10 billion US, meaning that the country has an import curve of more than 5 months. The country has not been there for so long. But as we speak about that, the Treasury bills, these are securities that the government will be selling to the people and businesses in Kenya. The interest rate has dropped to about 8.8%. We'll be talking about that and what that exactly means for the country's economy and also for investors that may want to go that direction. And speaking of which, the average bank lending rate has dropped to about 15.1%. But are Kenyans feeling this impact? Is loan or credit more accessible now because of the reducing rates? We'll be talking about that on Data Point. But also tonight we have the news gang that will be walking a journey of what has been happening the past few days and weeks with the decision yesterday made by the president to reconstitute a bit of the docket within the cabinet. We'll be talking about what that looks like. Of course, we are calling it sort of the incompetence edition. But first, here are the top stories tonight on Tonight.
Of what I know, he's alive and he's alive. I know that.
Dead or alive? Family of missing Kenyan police officer in Haiti holds on to hope. Forced marriage turns deadly. LSK and the Gender Commission outraged. A 17-year-old girl is murdered after refusing to marry a 55-year-old man.
I have served before in government. I was head of one arm of government. There is no magic about being a head of another arm of government.
Ready to serve, former Chief Justice David Maraga accepts Gen Z endorsement to run for next president of Kenya.
Na haja kuja mkutano ya siasa, amekuja kufungua masoko yetu. Mungetaka rais atembee hapa? Atembee hapa Murang'a? Afike huko Mathioya?
Preparing the ground, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki leads preparations ahead of Ruto's visit to Mount Kenya region. Our sign language interpreter is Njoki Shege. In a rare insight into its operations, the National Intelligence Service today staged a public event where Director General Nordin Haji delivered a public lecture on the operations of the country's intelligence agency. The NIS opened its doors at the public lecture staged at the National Intelligence and Research University in Nairobi, where invitees included representatives from the Law Society of Kenya, civil society, university students, youth and the media. The first ever public event by the NIS saw the Director General highlight threats to national security that range from terrorism, corruption, trade wars and climate change.
It cannot always explain itself, and yet in a democratic state, silence must never be mistaken for impunity. We understand that in this age of instant information and digital noise, people demand to know. They want details, they want timelines, they want names. The NIS now operates at the intersection of multi-domains that has a holistic view of the state's well-being. The rapidly evolving global landscape, evidenced by the shift towards inward-looking policies among Western nations, has led to a situation I call risks with a high degree of randomness. This trend, particularly against the backdrop of Africa becoming the epicenter of terrorism, threatens to undermine support that has historically bolstered security efforts. Our national security landscape is influenced by global dynamics, including a changing world order, multilateralism, exponential growth in disruptive technologies, resurgence of nationalism, and protectionist policies, and climate-induced threats.
To another story. Tonight, uncertainty surrounds the fate of a Kenyan police officer who went missing after an ambush by suspected gang members in Haiti's Pont Saint area on Tuesday. The family of Benedict Kabiru has dismissed reports of his alleged death, family insisting that he is still alive despite being unaccounted for in the volatile Caribbean nation for 2 days. However, a statement from Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council has raised concerns suggesting that a missing officer may have died, adding now to the confusion and deepening the family's distress.
At Benedict Kabiru's home in the Manda village, Kikuyu, Kiambu County, Jacinta Wanjiku lifts her gaze to the sky, lost in deep thought. The weight of uncertainty hangs heavy. Her firstborn son is missing in a foreign volatile land, and the long-awaited reunion they had planned for in 4 months now seems uncertain. Anxiety grips not just the family, but also friends who continue to visit, holding on to hope that good news will soon break the silence.
Jana kuamka asubuhi, nilikuwa sama askari wakakuja wengi, nikauliza, mbona mmekuja wengi? Simuniambie tu kweli kama amekufa ama hajakufa. Akasema hapana, go missing. Sasa ndio hivyo tu.
Jana ndio nilipata ripoti kutoka kwa sub-county Kikuyu AP komanda, kaniambia kijana yangu alienda mission, alipotea na hajapatikana.
The family recalls that Kabiru, an officer with the Border Patrol Unit, last reached out to them over the weekend, informing them of his upcoming night patrol duty. Despite being deployed as part of a multinational security operation in Haiti, Kabiru remained devoted to his family, ensuring their well-being, even as he faced the daily dangers of battling gangs in the troubled nation.
Mimi mwenyewe mara ya mwisho niliongea na kijana ilikuwa Saturday. Kaniambia mama usijali, I'm coming. Even I want to go, nataka kukuja, I said to you, kwa sababu ninakaa kwa rentals. Nitakuja, nataka kukuseto, ukae mahali pazuri. Sasa tukaachana hivyo na tukaahidiana tutaongea.
Nilikuwa nimemwambia ufa imekata haifanyi vizuri. Sasa kumbe ilikuwa ameorder ufa online na iron pasi. Yenyewe niambia tu ni surprise, lakini kufika nikapata yenyewe ni ufa amebai online na Kilimall imekuja hapa 5 nikaichukua. Sasa ilikuwa ndio tuongee jana, sasa nimwambie vile kuko. Sasa unaona ndio tukakuja tukaambiwa amepotea.
The 34-year-old father of one readily embraced the Haiti mission when selected by his superiors. Having served in the Border Patrol Unit since joining the police service in 2016, Kabiru brought invaluable expertise to the operation, not just as a driver, but also as a skilled mechanic and bomb disposal expert. His versatility and dedication made him a vital asset to the mission.
Huwa ananipea moyo, ananiambia si pabaya vile. Kwanza huwa ananiambia, anasema sisi ni wanoma. Huyo gaidi lazima tutamuua. Usiwahi kuwa na wasiwasi. But recently aliniambia walihamishwa, walikuwa wamefungua kampi nyingine mahali nyingine.
Sasa ile kitu inaniudhu ni mambo ya mtandao. Mtandao bado wanajaza amekufa. He is not married. Sijui nini mambo mengi. So I'm urging naomba waachane na hiyo maneno kabisa mpaka mimi mwenyewe nipeane ruhusa ya mtu kusema kijana yangu amekufa. Or what I know, he is alive and he is alive.
A statement from the Multinational Security Support Mission revealed that Kabiru went missing while responding to a distress call alongside other Kenyan police officers. The team had rushed to assist Haitian police officers whose vehicle had gotten stuck in the Pont Saint area when they were ambushed by suspected gang members. However, concerns are mounting over conflicting reports. While the family maintains that they have only been informed that Kabiru is missing, a statement from Haiti's Presidential Transitional Council posted on its X platform references an officer who lost his life in an insecurity incident. raising fears and deepening the uncertainty surrounding his fate. With every passing moment, family and friends of Benedict Kabiru wait anxiously for answers from the National Police Service over the whereabouts of their kin who went missing during an active operation in Haiti. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Damanda, Kiambu County.
Really trying times for the family. At the same time, the National Gender and Equality Commission and the Law Society of Kenya have called for the immediate arrest and prosecution of those responsible for the killing of a 17-year-old girl in Habaswein, Wajir County. The teenage girl was killed and her body set on fire for refusing to forcibly be married off to a 55-year-old man. Ode Francis has the details.
National Gender and Equality Commission and the Law Society of Kenya have condemned the murder of 17-year-old Gaala Aden Abdi, whose body was burned beyond recognition in Wajir County for resisting a forced marriage to a 55-year-old man. The incident has sparked outrage and anger in the public sphere, with Kenyans calling for justice for the victim and decisive action against perpetrators. The National Gender and Equality Commission (GEC) taking note of the circumstances of the death of the minor, noting that she was subjected to severe abuse, ultimately killed, and her body burnt beyond recognition. GEC, which called for a thorough and swift investigations into the murder, terming it a flagrant violation of the teenagers' rights, which encompasses child rights, women's rights, and the rights of refugees. The Gender Commission pointing out that Gaala was entitled to protection from forced marriage and abuse under Kenyan law and international conventions. LSK condemned the act, saying it was a violation of the Children's Act and that it would hold brief to ensure that once the investigation is done and charges are preferred, justice is upheld for the life that was lost.
Inhumane treatment that she was given is a violation of our constitution and our human rights, and therefore the National Police Service should move swiftly, have all the parties involved apart from the husband. Each and every party that was involved should be arrested and investigations carried out, and all perpetrators must be held to book as an example that this should never happen again in our soil.
17-year-old Gaala Aden Abdi was murdered after she rejected a 55-year-old man she had been forcibly married to. She had been ferried from the Dagale refugee camp at night 150 kilometers away to Wara at the Masajida in Habaswein, a remote village, to meet her husband for the first time. Her rejection, despite coercion from the man's relatives, led to her death, but she reportedly made a call Saturday night disclosing plans for her death and naming those who orchestrated it. A post-mortem examination report revealed her body had sustained a 100% burn, indicating the use of an open flame. Hashtags such as Justice for Gaala and Stop Femicide have gone viral on social media, with users demanding justice and swift measures to combat gender-based violence. The victim's body has been preserved for further examination as investigators continue to gather evidence about the events that led to her death. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Maria Kamunge, alias Rish Kamunge, the director of Trustpin Travel Agency, will spend the night in police custody until Friday, when she will get to know what lies ahead for her. Milimani Law Court ordered the suspect be detained for further investigations into allegations of swindling Kenyans millions of shillings under the guise of securing them jobs overseas. And as this happened, more victims have presented themselves at Central Police Station with damning evidence on how they were duped by the agency. Franklin Ola now reports that the police are insisting they're investigating several rogue agencies facing similar allegations.
In a hotel, sawa sawa. So if you're interested, kindly, I am begging you in the name of God, come to the office. Njoo kwa ofisi. I cannot manage to respond to all these questions kwa simu.
as news of how Maria Kamunge, alias Rishi Kamunge, swindled several victims of millions of shillings with the promises of securing jobs abroad spread across the country, more victims came forward with similar accusations against Trustpin Travel Agency. This lady traveled all the way to Nairobi hoping to meet Maria Kamunge and at least secure a refund of monies she paid to her company. Unfortunately, she found the offices closed moments after police had made an arrest of the suspect.
I had already paid 100,000. We see if they can refund the money. Even if it's not the whole amount of money, we are at least like 50% of the money comes back. So that is what I was hoping. But unfortunately now, you see they have closed.
As she tried her luck at the company's head office along Moi Avenue in Nairobi, more victims were presenting themselves to the police at Central Police Station with damning evidence against Rishi Kamunge.
Mimi nikalipa 240,000 na yote ilikuwa inatakikana nilipe 350,000. Tukakuja hapa. Tulipokuja hapa tukachukua ombi, tukaenda huko juu. Tukaambiwa tuende huko juu kwa maandishi yao, tukaandikisha statement, wakatuitisha kila mtu 10,000. Hiyo sio siri. Na mtu afadhali akufe akipigania haki yake tafadhali. Msikuwe mnaogopa.
Toa pesa ya flight of which nikiinclude zote zinakuja 192,000. Of which mimi nisha travel hadi Mauritius yenyewe na kuna sikuweza kuaccess kwenda pande ile ingine.
Police say they have recorded statements from at least 20 complainants against Kamunge's Trustpin Travel Agency. In their statements, they were conned a total of 5 million shillings.
Tunadiscouragewa na maafisa wenye wako hapa, of which mimi nashindwa na ni serikali wanafaa kutusaidia, kwa nini wanatudemolish namna hiyo?
Investigators have started an operation targeting such agencies which have conned Kenyan through this modus operandi. Police arrested Maxwell Nyabosero on Thursday evening. He is said to have duped at least 15 Kenyans with a promise of offering them jobs abroad. In this syndicate through his company, Model International Company, which has offices in Nairobi, victims say they were conned 3 million shillings. Maxwell was hiding in Kisii County. Nairobi DCI boss Benson Kasioki says those who have fallen victims to such dubious and fraudulent schemes should present their case to the police. Kasioki revealing they are investigating several other agencies and companies that have faced similar accusations. For the second day, the victims who were allegedly swindled money by Trustpin Travel Agency have pitched camp at the police station, seeking intervention of the police, even as more victims of the overseas jobs scam emerge. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
At the same time, former Chief Justice David Maraga has declared his readiness to lead the country, citing his exemplary track record at the helm of the judiciary. Speaking after a public lecture in Migori County, Maraga emphasized the urgent need to end rampant corruption, which he called the biggest obstacle to national development. And as Laura Otieno now reports, the former CJ rallied the youth movement, urging them to champion good governance and accountability.
After delivering a thought-provoking lecture to students at Rongo University in Migori on Thursday, former Chief Justice David Maraga addressed the growing speculation about his potential presidential bid. With a measured yet confident tone, Maraga affirmed that he possesses the experience and integrity needed to lead the nation. Drawing from his tenure at the helm of the judiciary, he spoke with conviction about his track record, exuding confidence in his ability to steer the country towards a just and accountable future.
It is because of that confidence that one can make a decision whether or not he can serve. I have served before in government. I was head of one arm of government. There is no magic about being ahead of another arm of government.
Taking a direct swipe at President William Ruto, former Chief Justice David Maraga condemned what he termed as budgeted corruption, accusing the government of diverting crucial resources meant for national development. He decried the misallocation of funds, which he said has crippled key projects, including the controversial Social Health Authority, which has left both Kenyans and healthcare workers struggling under its weight.
So I can't advise him, but what is going on in the country, my view would be, it would be good if he listened to the public to know what they are complaining about, what they're crying over.
In what appeared to be a pitch for the youth vote, Maraga urged young people to embrace their civic duty and become champions of good governance. He emphasized that their voices and choices hold the power to shape the country's future, calling on them to demand accountability and leadership that truly serves the people.
I challenge each one of you to be champions of justice and accountability. Stand fearless against a stubborn system that lures young minds into service for political cartels.
However, the former CJ noted that he is still in consultations and will announce his final decision on his political ambition at the appropriate time. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Still related to matters of election, candidates eyeing commissioner positions in the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission were tested over their ability to maintain integrity and navigate political interference once appointed as commissioners. 6 candidates who were interviewed today told the selection panel that they will uphold the highest degree of professionalism if selected to take up the roles at the IEBC. Stephen Leto was there.
Congratulations for being shortlisted.
The race to fill 6 commissioners at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC entered its first day Thursday, with 5 candidates appearing before the selection panel chaired by Nelson Makanda. The candidates were taken to task over what the panel termed as political interference, which they said affected the credibility of previous elections.
What actions will you take to ensure that that influence does not affect the work of the commission?
Number one, getting the right people in the right places, people with integrity, people who can withstand that pressure to be influenced is critical. Getting the right mix of commissioners and key officers at the commission will enable. And number 2 is that these officers should work within the law. The law is quite clear in terms of recruitment, in terms of ensuring that we follow equity and justice, in terms of giving everyone opportunity.
The 2022 presidential results declaration at the Bomas of Kenya were marred with a split of the commission, with a section of commissioners walking out of Bomas to stop declaration of the results. The need for the unity of the commissioners, from the chairperson to the members of the commission, dominated the interview.
A high-stake job, and considering the nature of it and the different stakeholders that are involved in that process, it requires somebody with at least some bit of exposure of work to fit into that commission.
Confidence is something you earn as an institution first. So why Kenyans have poor public confidence in the current IEBC is simply some processes within the election cycle is not clear to Kenyans. Especially the last time where the challenges we had was in the result transmission.
All the 5 candidates, Abduba Molu from Isiolo, Abdullahi Yoro from Wajir, Abdi Kahim Adan from Wajir, Abdi Nur Malim from Mandera, and Abraham Kipruto from Nakuru, told the panel that the commission is time-barred in readiness for the 2027 general election.
What you would do to avoid these failures, or to address them, in some of them still persist, to address those failures, the challenges that still persist, and also moving forward to ensure that subsequent elections are devoid of some of these failures.
Part of the challenge is preparation. The gadgets needs to be checked early, test runs needs to be done. If there are challenges with the software and the transmission mechanism, this needs to be checked before the election. So
111 candidates had been shortlisted for the position of IEBC commissioners, with their interviews scheduled to go on until end of April. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki camped in Mount Kenya region for the second day to make way for next week's visit to the region by President William Ruto. Kindiki urged the Mount Kenya residents to embrace the president during his tour, saying the president will come bearing development goodies. And as Emmanuel Toh now reports, there is a last-minute dash to prep some of these stalled projects to be commissioned and unveiled by the head of state in just under a week.
Like the biblical John the Baptist who made the way for Jesus Christ, Professor Kithure Kindiki is a man on a mission to prepare the way for President William Ruto, who is expected to come bearing goodies for the 10 counties of the region. Kindiki, who began his tours of the mountain Wednesday, hitting the ground running with whistle-stop rallies in Tharaka Nithi, Murang'a and Kiambu counties Thursday to check on the projects that the president is expected to commission and launch. The DP asking the residents to give the head of state a warm embrace as he prepares to deliver some of the projects he promised them.
Next week, Mungu akitujalia, Rais wa Kenya anakuja hapa Murang'a. Si namna hii? Na haja kuja mkutano ya siasa, amekuja kufungua masoko yetu. Mungetaka rais asembee hapa? Atembee hapa Murang'a? Afike huko Mathioya na Maragwa? Akuje asikuje?
Mimi nataka siasa na maendeleo. Unataka siasa na maendeleo. Kwa hivyo sisi tuendelee namna hiyo.
The DP asking the residents to shun divisive politics and work with the government of the day for the benefit of the region.
Atungetaka kujifanya ati sisi tuongee mambo yetu peke yetu alafu tuanze kukejeli ama kuletea hao wengine mambo ya madharau. Kenya ni moja, sisi wote ni wamoja. Rais ndiye amenituma hapa tukiwa nao waheshimiwa, kuhakikisha kwamba zile projects za serikali ambazo zimeanzishwa zinaharakishwa, zinaisha.
And with the trip barely 4 days away, there was a visible rush against time to have some of the projects the president is expected to commission, inspect and launch ready, with a contractor who was set to complete Ruringo Stadium, racing to ensure some progress in this stalled project. The president, who toured the county over a year ago, promised to have it ready by the end of last year, but this is the current state of affairs.
Kuna stadium hapa imetusumbua sana. Hiyo stadium imejengwa karibu Yesu anafika kama bado haijakamilika. Si ndio? So nimesema kabla ya mwisho wa mwaka huu hii stadium tutamaliza. Nimeleta contractor mpya.
Let me also pray that the pending visit of the president is not what has provoked this.
President Ruto is set to begin his tour of Mount Kenya region next week Tuesday, after a 5-month hiatus from the region, which has been particularly hostile since former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was kicked out of office. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV.
All right, we are taking a short break here on Tonight. When we come back, we'll have data points where we're looking at some of the numbers that you need to think about, because the Central Bank of Kenya is reporting that the country's import cover has risen to 5 months. This is the highest in a very long time, and I'll be telling you what that exactly means. Stay tuned for that. Coming up on Data Point, country's forex reserves hit a record high of $10 billion as Treasury bills interest rates fall.
In Jordan, worshippers will prepare themselves to welcome the Eid. However, they also bid farewell to Ramadan with heavy hearts, as they will miss the times of joy, happiness, compassion, and worship, as they also bid farewell to the culture and traditions surrounding the holy month. People here will also strive to increase their acts of worship, in hopes of growing closer to Allah Almighty as the month comes to an end, and they will pray and recite the Quran as much as they can. The people of Jordan, despite the happiness, joy, and elation that are brought forth by the arrival of the Eid al-Fitr, find it difficult to shake off the sadness they feel as they say farewell to the holy month of Ramadan.
It starts with little moments of courage. To stepping out into the new world with confidence. Taking leaps of faith. Spreading your wings and soaring to new heights. Your mother's love is with you wherever you go. Stay soft. Nothing lasts like mom's love.
The Smarter Bundle. Bundle imetosha. 30 GB monthly data. 400 minutes talk time to any network. 100% rudishiwa on Airtel Money transactions, bank to wallet, pay bills, and agent withdrawals. Subscribe to the Smarter Bundle today. Dial *544# or visit My Airtel app. Airtel Smarter Bundle. Browse, chat, call. Airtel Money. Airtel. A reason to imagine.
Get business credit card from Cooperative Bank and pay for business stock and supplies on credit instead of using your own money. You can make payments in Kenya, abroad, and online.
When I have back pain, I reach for 2 tablets of Panadol Extra. It's boosted by caffeine for fast relief of strong pain, like headache, toothache, and muscle pain. And I am finally released from pain and ready to be there for those who need me. Try Panadol Extra for fast and effective relief from strong pain.
It's time for Data Point, and the Central Bank of Kenya, of course, releases a bulletin every other Friday. Now, based on the latest numbers, I want us to reflect on what has been happening to the state of the economy in the country. And first of all, we're talking about the Forex Reserve, which you will see that in March 2023, which is nearly 2 years ago, actually it is 2 years ago, the country had Forex reserves of $6.5 billion in terms of reserves. That's an import cover of just 3.6 months. The requirement in the country is to have 4 months, at least 4 months of import cover, meaning that these are dollars that are sufficient to import the country's demands from outside the country, obviously. In March 2024, that improved slightly to $7 billion, which is equivalent to 3.7 months. But now in 2025, that has gone up to $10 billion, equivalent to 5.1 months in March 2025. This, again, is the highest it has been in a very long time. Let's focus on the next one, which talks about what has been happening to the exchange rates. And we're looking at one of the major currencies, the Kenya shilling against the dollar. In March 2023, the exchange rate was 130 shillings and 99 cents to the dollar. A year later, which is in March 2024, it was at 133.07 shillings. It is now slightly lower at 129.38 shillings. But you recall that there is a time in this country that the exchange rate was nearly 160 and sometimes even higher. Let's talk about the treasury bills. These are the short-term borrowing that the government will do to sort out some of its cash flow challenges or needs. The interest rates have been moving. In March 2023, which is 2 years ago, the treasury bills, so the color in looks like blue, could be turquoise blue. That is 91-day Treasury bill. It was 9.8% in March 2023. March 2024, which is a year ago, was at 16.7%. It has now gone down to 8.8%. You can see that's almost half of what it was a year ago. If you have to look at the 182-day Treasury bill, it was 10.3% in March 2023, went up to 16.9% in March 2024, and now it's down to 9%. For the 364-day Treasury bill, from 10.7 to 16.9 a year ago to now 10.4%. You can see clearly that they have been going down in some of the policies that have come from the Central Bank of Kenya, from that monetary policy committee that has been working on different factors. Let's take a look at the next slide, which will explain what exactly has been happening. Again, the interest rates for Treasury bills, the 91-day, you'll see in June 2024, which was, you recall, there was that eventful month in this country during the Gen Z movement and the protests. The Treasury bill was trading at 15.9%, then went down in 6 months, that is December 2024, 9.8%. Thus, this time, some policies were changing at the National Treasury. Remember, it is also the same time, it was perhaps the third month of the tenure of John Mbadi as the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury. So things were moving. 9.8% in December 2024, went down to 9.5% in January 2025. Last month it was 8.9%, and it's now at 8.8%. You don't know how far it can go as it continues to go down, but also this means bad news for investors who invest in some of these Treasury bills. Let's take a look at the next one, which will help us look at the central bank rate, which is also determined by the Central Bank of Kenya's Monetary Policy Committee, which meets every 2 months. The central bank rate has been changing. This is sort of the baseline where banks have to use as they set their interest rates as they go ahead to lend money or credit to different customers. So in March 2024, the CBR rate or central bank rate was at 13%, stayed at 13% in June 2024, started going down in August 2024 to 12.75%. It has now gone down to 10.75% in February 2025, which is a record low considering what has been happening the past few years. But at the same time, the lending rate with the commercial banks, the average, these are figures according to the Central Bank of Kenya, which regulates the commercial banks, the lending rate has also been moving from 15.9% in March 2024, went up to 16.6% in October 2024, the highest during that period, but now is going down to 15.1%. But if you have to look at the change, it is not matching the drop that you have also witnessed. Of course, there's been a conversation between the Central Bank of Kenya and the commercial banks on why they are not effecting some of these benefits that are coming to the market. At the same time, September 2022, the average lending rate for banks was 12.4%. So if you have to compare that against what we have now, so September is crucial because this is when President William Ruto ascended to the office of president. We are still not there yet because at 15.1%, it is some 3 percentage points higher than 12.4%. But also at the time, you're talking about this central bank rate of 10.75%. Let's take a look at the next one, which will help us now look at the public debt. Of course, when the rates are moving, it also affects the public debt, the amount of interest that the country has to pay for borrowing from the Kenyan market. So the domestic debt has been going up. Initially, it used to be 49% of the total public debt. It has now gone up to 53.7%. In absolute terms, it is 5.8 trillion shillings. The external debt proportionately has been going down from about 51% to now 46.3%, and the absolute terms is 5 trillion shillings. The total public debt as of last Friday, according to the Central Bank of Kenya, is 10.9 trillion Kenya shillings. What does this mean? If you have to look at the next slide, yes, that will tell us about who owns this domestic debt. So Treasury bills, what I just described, the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day Treasury bills account for 896 billion shillings. I'll be telling you who are the holders of this. Treasury bonds also, of course, from different markets, both locally and externally. We're talking about 5 trillion shillings. It is domestic debt, yes, but investors could be coming from different parts of the world. The Central Bank of Kenya overdraft, we're talking about 79.8 billion shillings. This is the amount of money that will be borrowed from the central bank to sort out some of the needs of the government. Then other sources, 98.9 billion shillings to give a total of 6.1 trillion shillings. So you see the difference between the figure that I just showed you earlier on, because this now incorporates rates, the overdraft and other borrowing from the market. Let's take a look at something else, and this is to do with the investors. So banks control up to 45.3% of the domestic debt. So remember the 5.9 trillion debt? So banks, commercial banks, control 45.3%. It explains why there's a bit of profit that has been reported by major commercial banks in the country. Pension funds account for 28.4% of this borrowing. Insurance companies, 7.2%. Parastatals, these are government institutions that lend to the government to finance government operations. You're talking about 6%. Others, who include you and I, or individuals that may want to invest in treasury bills and bonds, we are talking about just about 13%. So much of the rest comes from corporate institutions, financial institutions, as well as the pension funds in the country. Now, the impact of all this, there's a bit of reality that we witness at the moment. Despite the interest rates coming down, businesses are being auctioned. You may have seen in the daily several businesses being advertised there. Businesses are closing or scaling down in terms of their members of staff and also the products offering that they have. There has been stagnating salaries reported by institutions like the Federation of Kenyan Employers, and also we know of jobless youth that continue to complain each and every day. And of course, struggling households. This is the reality versus what is happening to the economy at a time they're also reporting a better way of managing the forex reserves. That's Data Point for this week. To another story now, President William Ruto has picked former Prime Minister Raila Odinga as Kenya's special envoy to South Sudan following the arrest of first Vice President and opposition leader Riek Machar, along with his wife, Interior Minister Angelina Teny. Odinga is set to travel to Juba this Friday in a bid to prevent a potential civil war. Olive Barrows reports on the latest developments.
News of the arrest of Riek Machar, the leader of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement in opposition on Wednesday, was met with an immediate and resounding response from the international community as it moves to forestall another civil war. But tensions have been building for several months, and his party had prior to Wednesday reported that Machar's residence was surrounded by security forces loyal to President Salva Kiir. Late on Wednesday, however, according to Machar's press secretary, a convoy of over 20 heavily armed vehicles forced their way into Machar's residence, led by the defense minister and chief of national security. Machar's bodyguards were then disarmed and an arrest warrant presented under, quote, unclear charges, according to his team. While his aides and security were reportedly arrested and taken away, Machar and his wife are under house arrest. A move which the SPLM-IO says is a violation of the 2018 revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. A development which put South Sudan in a precarious position, according to the UN mission in South Sudan, which stated the country's leaders stand on the brink of relapsing into widespread conflict. The Intergovernmental Authority on Development, which facilitated the 2018 peace agreement, put it this way: the current trajectory, if unchecked, could lead to a collapse of the transitional process and a relapse into full-scale war, with devastating consequences for the people of South Sudan and the region at large. The U.S. Bureau of African Affairs calling on President Kiir to, quote, reverse this action. Kenya, which historically has been at the fore of peace negotiations in South Sudan, moved swiftly to appoint Raila Odinga as special envoy. President William Ruto, posting to his social media, had a phone call with President Salva Kiir on the situation leading to the arrest and detention of first Vice President Riek Machar in South Sudan. After consultations with President Museveni and Prime Minister Abiy, I'm sending a special envoy to South Sudan to engage, try de-escalate and brief us back. The African Union chairperson Mahmoud Ali Yusuf also stated that he too would be deploying the AU panel of the WISE, which is chaired by the retired Justice Efio War, Kenya's first female state counsel, senior magistrate, high court judge and appeals court judge. Olive Barrows, Citizen TV.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on Kenyans to support his new political party set to be launched in May, promising it will be the best alternative to the ruling Kenya Kwanza coalition. Gachagua says the party will field candidates for all positions with the goal of sending UDA packing. Gachagua also hinted that the new party's chairman will be from Kajiado County, as Melita Oletenges now reports.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was in Kajiado County, joined by regional leaders and his close allies as he laid the groundwork for his new political party set for launch in May. Gachagua revealing that the new party will have strong leadership from Kajiado, with the national chairman hailing from the county. He also made it clear that the party will field candidates for every political position.
Tutatangaza mwezi wa 5 na national chairman wa chama chetu mpya atatoka hapa Kajiado. Na hiyo chama tutasimamisha kutoka rais, governor, senator, mbunge, women rep mpaka MCA. Muko tayari?
As President William Ruto plans his tour of Mount Kenya counties next week, Gachagua took a swipe at the president, accusing him of making empty promises.
Kama kijana wenu munisamehe. Yule jamaa pia alidanganya mimi. Alikuja na Biblia. Anasema mwadhani agochwe. Tukafikiria ni Mkristo. Kumbe alikuwa ni fisi amevaa ngozi ya kondoo.
Despite facing criticism from some leaders in his Mount Kenya backyard for prioritizing a Mount Kenya agenda in national politics, Gachagua is now embracing a broader narrative, calling for unity among Kenyans and an end to ethnic divisions.
Naomba nyinyi muishi kwa amani kama ndugu na dada. Mupendane, mufanye biashara pamoja, muoane, muzae watoto. Kila mtu hapa ajue hapa ni kwake. Tumekubaliana?
Several leaders in Kajiado, including Kajiado Senator Lenku Seki and Kajiado North MP Onesmus Ngogoyo, have been strong supporters of Gachagua's political ambitions, with Gachagua banking on his selection of a party chairman from the region to boost his popularity further. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
To another story, the Nairobi City County Government and a company associated with a former prominent politician, Fairview Investments Limited, are locked in a battle for control of a 4-acre piece of land in Marurui near the Windsor Golf Club. The company has accused the county of an attempted land grab after Nairobi County officials placed a container on the contested land to show that it owns the land. Fairview Investment Limited, which is associated with the family of the late former Minister John Mishuki, however, asserts its ownership of the land, saying it has owned it for a long time. The county, however, claims the land was surrendered to the now defunct City Council for subdivision, with officials sent to the disputed land backing the argument with a letter purportedly from the governor's office. Advocate Ngatia Wambugu, who represents Fairview Investment Limited, says in October last year, unidentified individuals allegedly stormed the property and prevented the rightful owner from accessing it. Nairobi County officials refused to discuss the dispute on camera.
Is indicating that that land, which my client has the titles to, belongs to the county on account of the fact that it was surrendered to the county, which we find to be quite laughable. I'm asking, I've engaged him and asked him, what was it surrendered for? You know, when was it surrendered? He says it is at the point of subdivision of the larger property. I'm asking, what was it surrendered for? Yes, you know, generally land is surrendered for public utilities. So what sort of utility was meant to be on the 2 parcels that belong to my client? And of course, he was not able to answer.
With that story, we're taking a short break here on Tonight. When we come back, we have stories from the business sector and sports. Stay tuned.
That the currency was constant at 160. We could have grown from 1.8 trillion to 2.1 trillion.
Equity Bank shareholders to receive 16 billion shillings in dividend payout as the bank's profits soar to 48.8 billion shillings.
brother, chekini story fulani la penjuzi mtani record manze.
Lakini bro, kazi itakuwa tu ni kujaza simu na hizi mavida.
Ai, kujinice tu kaka.
Mwananchi gani huyo anarada medalia pesa?
Leta tenje ni kushow vile tutaomoka. Citizen Digital wako na platform fulani kwa site yao inaitwa Wananchi Reporting. Hapa unaweza tuma story yako kwa website yao ama kwa app yao ya Citizen Digital. Na kama hiyo process ni ngumu, unaweza tuma story kwa email yao, WhatsApp number ama uitumie kama SMS.
Alafu gani napataje bro?
After story yako imepublishiwa, hapo ndo una receive 1000 kwa simu yako.
Bro, au umenichanua.
Don't just witness the news, be part of breaking it. Download the Citizen Digital app and share your story with Wananchi Reporting today. Citizen Digital. Dreaming of a strong, stylish and reliable roof for your home? Look no further than Heritage Mabati Mills. We provide durable, elegant and affordable roofing solutions designed just for you. We have unbeatable discounts, flexible payment plans including Lipa Pole Pole for easy installments, fast and free delivery across Kenya within 72 hours. Call us on 0746 667 456 or visit us Thika Road, Exit 13. Heritage Mabati Mills, the proof is on the roof.
Welcome to Sensei Institute of Technology, your gateway to hands-on technical skills, from mechanics and electronics to construction, ICT and more. Our ever-growing facilities reflect our unwavering commitment to building a better tomorrow for you. With immersive practical training and top-tier equipment, we ensure real-world readiness and a secure future. Sensei, the home of great practical skills. Join us today.
Karibuni sana. Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, that shirt has seen better days. Mara, it's your faded shirt. Mara, it's your faded roof. Look at our roof from Mabati Rolling Mills. Still as vibrant after all these years. Unlike your shirt.
Yes, MRM steel roofing tiles are made using advanced color coating technology that makes the color last.
The tiles are even wider, so you use less pieces.
Which saved us money. So you mean Mabati Rolling Mills saves you money?
Yeah!
Steal the show with versatile, oriental and elegantile steel roofing tiles. Backed by a genuine warranty only from Mabati Rolling Mills. Visit our dealership or call us today at 0788 202020.
You should be the next singing superstar.
Has dull and uneven skin tone taken away your confidence? Presenting Shalina Healthcare's new Epiglow. With power of triple radiance complex, an innovative technology that gives you glowing skin by reducing dark spots in 28 days. Skin science for a perfect glow. New Epiglow.
People come to me and they say they get discomfort when they have ice cream. Can you imagine that? Avoiding having cold ice cream. Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Success is not measured by how much you've made, but how much you've invested in yourself.
Easter happiness all around! Win big with the WRC Safari Rally 2025. Revisha and feel the roar!
Equity Group has registered 12% growth in earnings to reach a profit after tax of 48.8 billion shillings for the year ending December 2024. This is up from 43.7 billion shillings recorded in the previous year. According to the lender, this reinforces their continued success on the back of the group's diversified business model and prudent financial management, as well as investment into the region. Jimmy Mbogo has a report.
Despite facing several headwinds in 2024, primarily from the foreign exchange front, Equity Bank's 48.8 billion shillings profit after tax shows the lender's resilience, with investment in the region paying dividends for the lender. In the period under review, the lender saw a marginal decline of 1% in its balance sheet, which oscillated around 1.8 trillion shillings. The bank's loan portfolio also shrank by 8% to 819.2 billion shillings.
So while on the face of the balance sheet, it shows like we didn't grow, that we are mark timing at 1.8 trillion. If it was like for like, that the currency was constant at 160, we could have grown from 1.8 trillion to 2.1 trillion. We increased our profit from 43.7 billion to 48.8 billion. That's after tax. But before tax, we increased our profit from 51.9 to 60.7 billion shillings.
The bank subsidiary across the region boosted the lender's revenue, contributing 54% or 103.6 billion shillings, up from 49% recorded the previous year, with the Kenyan business contributing only 46% of the total revenue, an equivalent of 89.3 billion shillings. In the same period, the lender saw a jump in non-performing loans, which grew by 12.2%, with the Kenyan business taking the biggest hit at 17.4%, above the industry average of 16%. Non-performing loans held by corporates were the highest at 22.4%, followed by MSMEs at 13.5%, with retail contributing for 5.8%.
These are difficult times. We all know NPLs in Kenya are around 16% as an industry. We are glad that we are at 12 when the industry is at 16. But if you look, we start out as the bank that has made the biggest provisions relative to the balance sheet.
The bank's shareholders will receive a bump in their dividend payout, with the lender set to spend 6% more in the dividend payment from 4 shillings per ordinary share to 4 shillings and 25 cents, resulting in a total dividend payout of 16 billion shillings.
The capital is big. We don't need leader. We need to start. These are difficult times. It's not only difficult to organizations, but also to shareholders. So how much do you invest in shareholders? You don't just look after staff, you also look at your shareholders.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
I've been living in Kenya for 6 years now.
All right, now Kenya's electricity sector recorded significant growth in the last half of 2024, with power generation rising by 6%. Geothermal energy remained the top source, contributing nearly 40% of the country's electricity, followed by hydro and wind. Our reporter Wambui Wangoi has the details.
The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has released the biannual Energy and Petroleum Statistics Report for the second half of 2024. During this period, the country's electricity consumption grew to 7,222 gigawatt hours from 6,605 recorded in the first half of the year.
This increase is mainly due to higher demand for electricity, as more homes, businesses and industries are connected to the grid, as well as a natural growth in energy consumption. Today, geothermal energy continues to be the leading source of power generation, contributing 39.81% of the total electricity supply.
The country also imported more electricity, with energy imports rising to 752 gigawatt hours, which is over 10% of the total consumption. This thanks to new power deals with Ethiopia and Tanzania. Captive power capacity by both industrial and domestic consumers stood at 574 megawatts at a time when the country's energy reserve margin continues to shrink due to increased demand.
We have seen increased adoption of e-mobility, which has led to a rise in electricity consumption. During the reporting period, the electricity consumption from e-mobility reached 1.8 gigawatt hours, marking over 480% increase as compared to the same period in the previous financial year.
In the same period, more homes and businesses were connected to electricity, bringing the total number of customers to 9.8 million. Transmission infrastructure also improved, with the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company commissioning a high-voltage line to Kajiado and a power interconnector with Tanzania to facilitate cross-border electricity trade. Wangoi, Citizen TV.
The Kenya Association of Manufacturers has launched its Manufacturing Priority Agenda 2025, outlining key strategies to boost the sector's contribution to 20% of the country's GDP by 2030. The agenda is anchored on 4 key pillars, namely global competitiveness, export-led industrialization, SME development, and agriculture. The lobby group is also advocating for a stable tax environment to enhance Kenya's competitiveness in the global market. However, rising operational costs and limited market access remain major challenges hampering the growth of Kenya's industrial sector. The association is urging policymakers to address these barriers to drive sustainable industrial expansion.
Our contribution is about 7.6, and our assessment is that it might drop to about 6%. But what we really need to address to move this contribution from 7.6 to 20% by 2030, apart from the 4 pillars that I've mentioned, is issues around predictability of the tax and policy space in this country.
I think the tables here on the cost of energy, Kenya ranking on the upper side, there can be no excuse to that. And I think as government, we have to bite the bullet at the right time. The other issue is multiple taxes, especially between counties. You have a distribution company in Thika and has to know, so you have to pay across all these counties. So I think at our devolved level, there's serious work to be done.
All right, so we're taking another break for sports. When we come back, that's what we'll bring you. And remember, the News Gang is here tonight. Stay tuned.
Wadau, tumesikiza wasee kwa ground na sasa streets zimetii kutii. Tumeanguka na bei, mali bado ni safi. Watu wa Chrome, Triple S na Ken Extra, budget sasa imeshuka kuruka na sherehe sasa itabamba mbaya. Au sio?
Running out of water again? With PowerTank, never worry about water shortages. PowerTank has been awarded the prestigious Super Brand status in East Africa for quality, reliability, and distinction. PowerTanks are crafted from food-grade polyethylene, UV stabilized and double-layered for unparalleled durability. Backed by a 10-year limited warranty and an expected lifespan of 30 years plus, we offer free nationwide delivery. Buy online or call 0779 000 000 today to get your PowerTank. Feel and chill with PowerTank.
Please can I have that ad there? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Ukiwin, beshte yako in your local shop win too. Hii ni the Cadbury Big Win-Win. Nunua any 2 participating Cadbury products. Scan QR code ama WhatsApp hi kunominate beshte yako in your local shop. Stand a chance ya kushinda share yako in cash prizes plus more. A win for you is a win for all. T's and C's apply.
Gota, tena.
Definitely know the vibes to Mefika.
Shoni deadly.
This is 10 over 10 on Citizen TV. Every Friday. My name is Aziza Hashim, but you can call me the Media Messiah.
This is Africa's mega hype man, Good Man.
10 over 10 every Friday from 10 p.m.
Wadau, tumeanguka na bei. Mali bado ni safi. Watu wa Chrome, Triple S na Ken Extra. Budget sasa imeshuka kuruka na sherehe sasa itabamba mbaya. Au sio?
Cooking kuku for your friends doesn't need to be tricky anymore. With Kikkoman soy sauce, making delicious Kikkoman glazed kuku is fast and simple. Kuku glazed ikiwa tamu, hangout na mabeste ni fiti. Kweli, kuku ni cool na Kikkoman.
Wadau, tumesikiza wasee kwa ground na sasa streets zimetii kutii. Tumeanguka na bei. Mali bado ni safi. Watu wa Chrome, Triple S na Ken Extra. Budget sasa imeshuka kuruka na sherehe sasa itabamba mbaya. Au sio?
At Amaco Insurance, we ensure safe journeys by protecting public vehicles and the lives on board. With every policy, we provide full coverage for peace of mind on every ride. Your trust makes us the #1 choice for PSV insurance. We also insure private and commercial vehicles, businesses, livestock, homes, schools, and more. Visit us today and let's plan your insurance together.
Experience Swiss-based education in the heart of Nairobi. With practical, hands-on skills, we prepare you for the dynamic world of culinary arts and patisserie or international hospitality management. Travel the world and gain global work experience through our international placement network as you shape your career as the next global future leader in hospitality. Welcome to the Boma International Hospitality College. May intake is ongoing.
Gota, tena.
Definitely know the vibes to Mefika.
Shoni deadly. Kono ju.
This is 10 over 10 on Citizen TV. Every Friday. My name is Aziza Hashim, but you can call me the Media Messiah.
This is Africa's mega hype man, good man.
10 over 10 every Friday from 10 p.m.
Wadau, tumeanguka na bei. Mali bado ni safi. Watu wa Chrome, Triple S na Ken Extra. Budget sasa imeshuka kuruka na sherehe sasa itabamba mbaya. Au sio?
The Football Kenya Federation has suspended Kakamega Homeboys goalkeeper Patrick Matasi for 90 days as they launch investigation into allegations of match manipulation. The allegations of match manipulation by the goalkeeper surfaced after an undated video circulated online appearing to show Matasi in a conversation about manipulating a match. The FKF has assured stakeholders that it takes all reports of alleged match manipulation seriously and is committed to tackling the issue in collaboration with FIFA, CAF and other relevant bodies. His last appearance for Harambee Stars saw him concede 4 goals in a 4-1 defeat to Cameroon, with the final goal deemed suspiciously soft, raising eyebrows among football fans. The defeat ended Kenya's hopes to feature in this year's AFCON in Morocco. Construction at the Ruringo Stadium in Nyeri County is set to be completed by February 2026 after the national government brought in a new contractor who will work alongside the Kenya Defence Forces. This is after construction works stalled almost 10 years after the project began. The stadium, set to be rebuilt at a cost of 800 million shillings, will have new additions to its original designs as the government seeks to have a standard stadium in the county. Kama Mwangi reports from Nyeri.
In a fresh push to have Ruringo Stadium in Nyeri finally completed, 8 years since its construction began in 2017, the government intends to use an additional 800 million Kenya shillings as the works will have to be redone and modified. Sports Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya, who was on a tour of the facility on Thursday, says the new contractor on site will work alongside the Kenya Defence Forces, as is the case with ongoing works at Kasarani, Nyayo and Talanta Stadia. The ministry is moving towards efficiency to have the stadium ready by February 2026.
It is part of the process to work together and to ensure that the work that we are doing is going on very well. And that we can also observe the timeline. And therefore, we have representatives here who will be working with Sports Kenya to look at the design. And then now we can begin to unlock the challenges that have been there.
Initially designed as a 20,000 capacity stadium, the new look facility will see modifications such as a new tartan track installed, the pavilion redesigned, bathrooms remodeled, and the terraces roofed.
And the prototype design for Nyeri Ruringu Stadium will be a 15,000 seater. And that means then whatever design was there before, there will be a lot of modifications so that we have, quality. We are looking at doing the sports facilities with standards that will fit even CAF.
Nyeri has missed quite a number of track events because of this, the lack of this stadium. By now we would have the AK, I think the third or the fourth track meet here, and that is really, it turns out to end up becoming a very, very economical boost for the people.
KDF does bring quite a bit of discipline and precision in the execution of work. So we are excited and we are delighted.
Already, more than 300 million Kenya shillings have been sunk into the construction of the stadium, with nothing to show for it. Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
National Olympic Committee of Kenya Secretary General Francis Mutuku has today officially announced his bid for the committee's presidency, vowing to expand Kenya's Olympic representation if elected president. Mutuku believes early preparations and more support from affiliate federations would increase the number for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The NOCA elections are set for April 24, where Mutuku is seen as a strong contender.
Just another competition. And like our outgoing president of IOC said, people do not compete on individual levels. It's not one person against another person. What they compete on is one person has a vision, one person has an idea, one person has a plan for an organization, and they present it to their stakeholders. And the stakeholders are able to decide which vision best resonates with their needs.
Now, former champions GSU displayed remarkable resilience and determination to overcome a spirited National Youth Service, securing a hard-fought 3-1 victory in a match played at the Nyayo Stadium Gymnasium. The coach Tarus-led side started the tie on a high, winning the first set 25-15, before NYS proved to be a relentless force, winning the second set 22-25. GSU had to dig deep and unleashed their full potential to secure a commanding 25-21 and 25-15 wins in the third and fourth sets. The win strengthens GSU's chances of finishing at the top of the league standings. In another match at the same court, Trailblazers emerged 3-1 victors over Kenya Forest Services.